The weather is great right now, and I'm not sure there's a better time to start gardening, or in this case, pick from your beautiful vegetables. We get our hands dirty with Emily, our expert gardener. All right, Emily, these gardening segments have just been wonderful. Yeah, why don't you give it a little round of applause?
Yay for gardening.
So when we last talked, the weather wasn't as nice. And
right.
Out here on this beautiful day. And you're going to show us, now that things have started to grow, how do we know it's time to pull them out, and then how do we do it?
Okay, so as you can see, this time of year, mid to late April, is when lettuces and leafy greens and cool weather crops just absolutely shine. And you want to just pick, and eat all of this you can, because when it starts to get hot, these aren't going to taste as good and we're going to pull them out. But right now, this is when you really want to be picking these things, like all of this arugula and turnips and kale. We have romaine, carrots over here. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that you could pick right now.
And so we've been hitting the 80s. Is that kind of when you know? I mean, is it a time of the year, or is it about that temperature? Okay, now we're starting to see 80s. It's time to do this. Yeah,
when it starts to get over about 75, lettuces stop going this way and they start going this way. And all of a sudden you'll be like, why is my lettuce so tall? That means that it's at the end of its life cycle. It's trying to go to seed, and so we need to pick it before it gets bitter.
All right, so how do we do it?
So you can either come out and pick by just pinching off the outer leaves, because the new growth for the plant always comes up through the middle. So I rarely need like a whole head of lettuce, and so I'm just kind of coming out here. You're welcome to try if you want.
Of course. So I'm just pulling the outsides of it.
Yes, and you can pinch.
Is this one that you would pull? Okay.
And you can just pinch it with your fingers, or you can snip it with your scissors, and you're just kind of cutting for how much you need. I rarely need like a whole head of lettuce, but like if I'm making a salad for lunch, I mean, that's almost enough.
Right.
And we could pop off, like, this is some kale. You know, here's a little kale for your mixed green. Yeah, if you want a little bit of a peppery crunch, you can get some arugula. And this is exactly the kind of thing that I do with my clients week to week, is I teach them what is growing, how do we pick it, when do we pick it, and how do you use it in your kitchen. So today you're my client.
So, question.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got a lot here. How long do you have until it's like, okay, we can't use it anymore? It's gone too hot. It's no longer good for us.
I tell people everybody's different. It depends on your palate. So if your lettuce starts to get bitter, you might say, oh, I'm not eating that anymore, whereas it might not bother me. But when the lettuce starts to get really tall, that's when it gets really bitter. And once you're eating it and you don't enjoy the taste anymore, you need to pull it out. And the way that I would do that is I would just pull the plant out, and now we have a fresh new spot for something else to grow. And you may not even notice it, but I was out here the other day and we went ahead and planted this squash plant right here. And so that is going to eventually fill all the space when all the lettuce is gone. So that's how we transition our beds.
So you don't even need to really change any of the soil or anything like that, right? Because I would think, okay, how you don't want to mix chicken and beef in like the same thing when it's raw, but that doesn't apply here.
No, it's just a transition. So all we do is we get strategic and we go, okay, it's getting hot. We're pulling out the cool weather loving crops and we're putting in the stuff for summer that's going to thrive in the heat. So that's kind of how we transition. You can also see that there's carrots over here in this part of the bed, and they're not fully grown, but like I bet you if I picked one, there would be a tiny little baby carrot there. And so in about a month, this is going to be much bigger and you're going to actually be able to harvest it. But I mean, it smells like a carrot, tastes like a carrot.
I had to.
It is a carrot.
When you talk about smelling it. Yeah.
So those are on their way too.
No, that's really interesting just to think about that. Obviously, is that anything like when you see that, you know, some of the outer side, I mean, is there any part of this that you don't want to eat?
You know, holes and leaves don't bother me. I just wash my lettuce really well. That's why a lot of times when you buy it at the store, it says washed 3 times. That's a good thing because little critters can hide in there. But I just like to get a big bowl and put it in my sink, or fill up my sink with water and just submerge the lettuce in there and kind of like pump it up and down a few times, and then all the bugs will wash off and it'll be ready to go. You can stick it in your fridge. It'll stay fresh for 3 weeks, much longer than bagged salad from the grocery store. And one other little tidbit I would say is right over here on the other side of the bed, you will see cilantro growing right here. And cilantro is actually a cool weather crop. And people try to plant it in the summer, but it doesn't work. So if you have cilantro in your garden, smell that.
Oh, wow.
So good. you know, use it all up, start to use it, put it in your guacamole and your salsa, because midsummer it's going to be gone. So that's a mistake people often make. They try to grow it in the summer.
Emily,
But yeah.
Emily, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.